See, the center doesn't go by one or two labels. Now, some of these in the center are Republicans. 28% of them are. 36% describe themselves as Democrats. Another 36% are independents. And kind of amazing is the people. Some of the 20% of the people of the center describe themselves as liberal. Only 20%. 25% describe themselves as conservative. Moderates, 55%, and 15% actually support the Tea Party. Now, that's kind of amazing, some of these, because even though Americans seem to be fundamentally progressive on a lot of different issues, more so than they are conservative, a lot of people are really shaky about using the term liberal to describe themselves. And even conservative.
It's 20 or 30 years of beating up the word as it's a bad thing, you know. We forgot what true liberalism is, you know. It's, you know, Rush Limbaugh just pounded and pounded, you know. We forget how long he's been on and how long these guys have been pounding in different means, like how evil the word liberal is, and they're always equating it with, you know, like if I were to fit the liberal label, you know, like every 3 months, me and my wife would we'd get an abortion, and because for convenience, of course, because
of course,
it's a very convenient thing to do.
Paid for by the government, by the way.
Sure, and I would get,
while and afterwards you guys go and buy, get in your Escalade and buy some food on food stamps.
Yeah, because that's what you do when you're on food stamps. You live a tremendously heightened, economically advantaged lifestyle, and plus you get to live in housing projects, which are awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you get to like freeload in a housing project rife with gang violence, and so I've always said that to the whole Republican freeloader mantra, let's give these guys a little bit of freeloading time. And let everyone who accuses people of freeloading live in a housing project for a month.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
And it'd be like, we'll see, like, how do you like the freeloading?
Yeah, is it as grand as you thought?
Is it the dream you've always imagined? Somehow I doubt that.
Just the fact that even 25% of people self-identify now as conservative means that has also sort of lost its kind of luster, because more people would identify as being conservative, despite the fact that a lot of their beliefs are more upon the progressive liberal agenda, and it goes back, like as you said, with the Rush Limbaughs, the Sean Hannitys, that really pounded in the head that no, that's evil, that's communism, that's socialism, when it really isn't. When people try to equate, hey, let's give people a bit, let's raise the minimum wage a little bit so people don't live in poverty. They don't equate that with liberalism, because the whole word has been sort of tainted to mean that no, you're going to take this guy's hardworking money, or this hardworking guy's money, and give it to this person that doesn't deserve it, that doesn't work, and that's not what liberalism is about.
No.
And so that's why 55% of people consider themselves as moderates.
I just, that's where America's really at, and I think it does portend well for the future of progressives, because when you really look at like the kind of opposing forces to what we found in this poll, they're going to be dead within 10 years. I mean, I don't mean to be cruel or nasty, but a large demographic. If you look at like where Republicans, and especially like a lot of the Tea Party Republicans, overwhelmingly white, over 65 and older, and you just do the math, and that demographic is going to disappear, as all demographics eventually do.
Yep.
And so I see. I never thought I used to think that I would never see like marijuana be legalized. I'd be like, no, these people are never going to go for that.
I give it 10 years.
Yeah, I think it's going to, maybe even shorter, where it'll be, legal nationwide, because the all the arguments for it are completely. The only argument left in the whole drug war is, what are we going to do with these drug war prison industrial complex workers?
Right. I
Which
think that's a really important factor to consider. You
mm-hmm,
know, absolutely. Especially when you take these people in there, these nonviolent drug offenders, and you stick them in a prison, there's a good chance that they're going to come out hardened criminals afterwards.
sure,
Because that's how
so
you survive.
mm-hmm,
I'm not saying that that's the guaranteed outcome, but there's always a good chance, especially if they're put in at a younger age,
sure,
and we're seeing that more and more.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think Americans have always actually been more liberal than politicians give them credit for, and this shows. I think the affirmative action, that's kind of the numbers that are actually posed a little bit disconcerting to me, but I think it's also kind of reflective in America's. We have completely abandoned, created donuts around our cities of kind of white economic enclaves. You see it up in Detroit. You see it, almost around every city. So I think a lot of the affirmative action, some of the opposition to that really is kind of rooted in not having been lived in like poor communities.
Hmm.
Uh, that's the only thing. Having lived in a lot of poor communities, that's the only thing I can guess. Because if you have, you can definitely see where I've been around sickeningly rich people, and in some of the poorest neighborhoods in America, and you can definitely see like these are all people. No matter where we go, and you
Right.
can definitely see where some people have a leg up and some people don't.
Oh,
Um,
for sure. And another part of that, I think I would add to that is the fact that it's not really apparent in American, I say in American life, is people don't see a lot of that, and they don't realize how much those programs actually try to um, do actually help, and
mhm.
have a role at this point. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but we have a black president, so why do we need that anymore? There are still instances where it's necessary because there's still systems of institutional racism that still exist in this country that have yet to be dismantled. And and I hate to beat up on the South a little bit, but there's still that those institutions in the South, and it's not just the South, but it's in other places as well. It's in the it can be in places even like New York. And so, I mean, there's not just a concentrated area where this kind of institutional racism happens. It can be anywhere.
We had a situation here where in Beaver Creek, Ohio, this week, the city council finally gave in to the Justice Department suit where they were going to defund their highway funds in Beaver Creek to the tune of like 10 million if they did not put in 2 bus stops to this place called the Fairfield Commons Mall, and it's just right. It's on a county border, so Beaver Creek's in Greene County, but it's right on the border with Montgomery County, and so it's a major shopping area, business center, jobs, and so on and so forth. And the response of getting 2 bus stops, which were you read letter after letter to the editor and comments, two
Hmm.
bus stops to a mall from coming from downtown Dayton, you would have thought that the Chinese hordes have invaded California and New York to get a couple of public bus stops, and went to had a group took them to court. I think it was in Think Progress. The story was,
Hmm.
and finally, the city just said, "Hey, this is going to be way too costly for us. It's not worth it. A couple bus stops." But we're still fighting these wars of like, keep the poor people out, somewhere where we don't have to see them.
Yeah, and we've done stories on that, of course, where uh, people that are poor, or people that are homeless, especially, are getting banned from downtown and getting arrested. But that's, of course, a different topic, of course, that we've covered here on TYT Community. But I would definitely check some of those clips out on YouTube.